we got to get to questions, but before we do, we got to say thanks to Birch Orthodontics. Love you, Birch Orthodontics. Hey, by the way, because I was in New York City, I don't know the answer to this question. Did Dr. Birch show up to the sausage party?
She did not. And like Corey said,
Dr.
it might be
Birch.
my fault. It might be my fault. I didn't extend a formal invitation. Here's the problem I had. This is my defense, Dr. Birch. It wasn't really our party, right?
Right.
Like it was Ben's party. It was the sausage.
Yeah. And Ben would have been horribly offended if the competing sponsor shows up. Yeah, I get it, Ira.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I'm just saying, maybe Ben could have reached out is all I'm saying. And
Sure.
maybe he did.
Yeah.
And maybe he did.
I'm going to see Dr. Birch tomorrow.
Apologize for me.
I will. I'm bringing Clark in. He's getting a checkup first thing in the morning, tomorrow morning. So it's been a minute. I haven't seen Dr. Birch in forever, it feels like. Very excited to see her. And then I'll also chastise her.
Please do. And tell her, though, but make sure she knows when she hosts her own party at her dental offices, orthodontic offices, apologies, Ben's not invited. No sausage king is coming to her party either. Like, we keep our sponsors separate.
If you want to go see Dr. Birch, you don't have to wait for the next sausage party. Go to
yeah, because she won't be there.
BirchOrthodontics.com is the website. You can get free consultations. They've done tremendous work. We can't speak highly. All of our kids, we sent all of our kids there. This isn't a deal where Dr. Birch just sends us money, although she does. No. We appreciate it. But our kids all went there, and we greatly endorse them and think you'll have a great experience too.
Okay, Burke writes, who would you pick from the other side of the College World Series bracket if you could play for a championship? He goes on to say, we did sweep Florida this year, but would the risk be worth the reward?
I mean, not only swept them, beat them like doormats.
Yeah.
Just beat the brakes off of Florida this year. It was not a competitive series. That said, I don't want to play Florida in the championship series.
I think I talked to Aslan about this on Wake Up. I think that's the only way this program is ever going to win a national championship. You have to go through Florida, and you have to lose the first game of the championship series.
Get the hell off this screen. You can leave. Stop with the nonsense.
That's how the Red Sox did it.
Yeah,
but to exercise the demons.
But the demons weren't really Florida out there. The demons were Miami, or other people,
or college baseball.
Yeah.
And it was just they were unlucky. Yeah,
I'd be with you if Florida had sent them packing from Omaha, but they. Really
it's like the Red Sox. It's not like the only reason they didn't win a World Series for 80-something years was the Yankees. They just sucked.
Yeah.
Then they're down 3-0 again to the Yankees.
Right.
And it's like, well, we got it. And then now they've won 4 World Series since they've been down there. I'm thinking if you get to the championship series, which is an enormous if, and Florida's on the other bracket, no Florida State fans are going to feel great about it. They're going to be, oh, God, this is going to be like the 96 Sugar Bowl again. Then Florida wins game 1. And you're like, well, here we go. We're going to have to watch them dogpile on the mound. And that's when it flips. That's when Florida State not only wins the 2024 World Series, they're going to win one in 26, 29, 32. People are going to be tired of Florida State dogpiling.
They can do all of those things without having to go through Florida.
By beating NC State?
By rights, Florida doesn't have any business being in the College World Series. They
Team of Destiny. Team of Destiny, that group.
Postseason to begin with. Yeah. Now, there's a part of me that slightly appreciated them knocking off Clemson at Clemson and those clowns that run the baseball operations there. I know the NCAA was in charge, but there was some satisfaction in watching those twos go 0-2.
Yeah. There was not I tried to pull for Clemson. I think I texted Corey Naslin. I was like, man, I really would like to root for Clemson, but they're making it really hard. So I just stopped watching it.
Well,
all I'm saying is Florida State has never played Florida for a national championship in baseball. You got to change up something. They've been losing to weird, random Cal State Fullertons and Rice and whoever, Arizona. For years. Come on out and play Florida for the national championship. Really intensify the pressure. And either the curse is real and you're never going to win it because you just lost to a 500 Florida team for a national championship, or you've lifted the curse, the demons have been exorcised, and it's going to be nothing but puppy dogs and rainbows in Omaha for the rest of our lives.
I don't think you sold either one of us, but appreciate the effort.
So you'd rather play NC State or
the easiest opponent available. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be them?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think the way they're playing right now, no, sir.
They also have the best college baseball player any of us have ever seen.
Exactly.
That doesn't help.
Go easy now. Go easy.
Hey, man, he pitches too.
Hey, I know. Well, he's an average pitcher. It's not like he's not going to pitch in the majors. He's not Shohei Ohtani.
But he's a weekend starter for a team in Omaha, and he's the best hitter in the country.
I'm talking about his prospects, Corey. You know he's not prospected as a
pitcher.
No,
I'm saying he's
of any kind.
It's like Mark Kotsay. He wasn't a major league pitcher, but he was awesome at the college level. He did what he had to do. I don't think
Caglianone's an awesome college pitcher. I think,
I don't give a crap about Caglianone. Can we move on?
Yeah, Corey's
I want the Braves to
all things UF right now.
He would be the number 3 hitter for the Braves right now. He'd be better than anything they're throwing out there. A kid doesn't strike out either. I
just think you have to be careful when you're throwing around the kind of lauding praise that you are when a program has had Buster Posey and J.D. Drew.
Buddy, I know who this program has had.
I'd go easy on telling everybody about that's the greatest player you've ever seen.
He is, though. He is. I don't know what to tell. Trust me, it pains me. It pains me. I love Florida State.
The other thing you got to remember is, man, Buster didn't have this loaded ball era.
I was going to say, let Buster Posey hit one of these baseballs. Yeah. That is a routine pop-up that leaves the yard all across America these days. It's crazy. Talking to Micah Posey about that, he's like, yeah, man, it's tough. You can make a perfect pitch. A guy can hit it off the end of the bat, and the next thing you know, you look up, a pop fly is 10 rows deep.
No offense. No offense to our guy Jackson West. I love you, Jackson.
That's not a home run. Any other day of the year.
And they tweeted, like FSU tweeted that, and I'm like, dude, you just don't even tweet that swing. Yeah. Don't swing. Nothing about that was a home run. But except the fact that it tied the game. God bless you, Jackson.
And it was a lefty that he pulled. He got it up in the air, which is what he had to do. My last point about Caglianone is the strikeouts. That's what has me thinking he's unbelievable. Is that he's got like 33 home runs and 22 strikeouts.
No, he's an awesome player.
Really good, man. I that's what's so and like I said, he pitched 5 in the 3rd innings in a Dom regional at Clemson to get them ahead. That's just
I'm moving on. I'm moving on here.
All right, sorry. And also I hope he gets the flu. I hope he gets the flu when he's in Omaha. The cow flu. Do they still have the cow flu? Is that a thing?
He's also no Paul Skeens. He's whatever. I know you love him. Yeah, he's not that.
He's a better hitter than Paul Skeens.
Paul was a really good hitter.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He was.
Can we get back to Florida State baseball?
No.
Please.
What realistic things does the baseball program need to do to stay at this level, writes David? Have there been talks about adding things to Hauser? Well, David, I think they should bulldoze Hauser as a starter. Secondly, they've got to have a bunch of NIL money come whooshing in here in the near future to sustain this excellence, because the coaching is there, the cachet and tradition is there. You have the coach that I think will win over a lot of people if it's even. But I do think in the interim, your real, like it is with any sport these days, your real concern is the disparity of money for the years that you're in the ACC competing against the SEC.
See, I agree with that to an extent, but I don't think in this particular sport, I don't know that NIL money is going to be nearly. In fact, I know it won't be nearly as impactful as it is in football and basketball. It just there aren't many programs that are going to be willing to do it, and also there are so many good baseball players out there. They can't all go to LSU in Florida. They just can't. Like, none of the guys on your current roster were offered by LSU, and you're in Omaha. So
if you look at some of the national coverage about the revenue sharing stuff and where these schools are going to be spending their money, man, they're going to be spending a ton of money on college baseball. And
for what reason?
Because it's a sport where it's a branding from an exposure standpoint. It may not bring in the money that football brings in, but it's your program on a big stage separating itself from everywhere else. And those schools are going to have so much money in this new TV deal, they have to spend it somewhere.
Really quick, Corey, to doubt that or to back up Ira's point here, look around at the stadiums, the 3-story stadium that Texas plays in, the 3-story stadium that you see in the SEC. Their stadiums alone are evidence of how much they're willing to invest in baseball.
I know. I guess I'm also thinking of it, the guys that would warrant that kind of money. Like, let's say Tibbs was just a sophomore. Well, no, he's not a good example. Let's say Ferrer was just a sophomore. Well, LSU might offer him, I would have no idea. This is just a ballpark. I'm just throwing out a number. $100,000 to
There are
come to
players, there are baseball players, I think, making closer several times that.
LSU. That's insanity.
Yeah,
to
man.
me. But it's also probably 10 of them or
But
15
also,
of them in the country.
but that team, LSU, that won the national championship a year ago that had Cruz and Skeens and all those guys, dude. They had 4 players that went the first 2 rounds. Dude, from what I understand, those guys, to Ira's point, are making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And it's not just the NIL part, man. The facilities is a real thing, dude. If
I
you're
agree
sending
with
your
that.
kid, if you're, I mean, again, man, like these recruits, they'll come to Florida State and it's like, okay, this was nice in the 90s. But then they go to these other schools and it's unbelievable. It's like a completely different level. So again, it's just more headwinds. And I think, man, again, this speaks to what an amazing job Link Jarrett did with his team. Again, the guys he brought in here, I mean, Max Williams was not a thing at Alabama. Jackson West was not those guys were not even starting at Alabama. And they come in here and they're huge pieces of this team. He's done an amazing job of evaluating these transfers, getting them in, getting them to believe, getting them to play well. But man, how many times are you going to thread that needle? And so I think to this question, what's needed is Florida State fans need to understand that this is not like Link Jarrett is not going to be able to work magic every year without support. And there has to be real support. Now, what that looks like, I don't know, but they're going to need support to compete with these other schools.
But you can't get in the arms race when it comes to NIL with LSU and Florida because you're going to lose.
You may not be at the top.
You have other things to sell. And so look, man, it's like Ohio State wanted Caleb Downs. So did Florida State. I can promise you that. Well, Ohio State got him. And that's just going to happen sometimes. My point is there's so many good college baseball players. Evansville almost beat Tennessee 2 out of 3. Like, you don't need the best of the best to go win championships.
Yeah, but Corey, that's going to change. Look at the field in Omaha. It's 4 ACC, 4 SEC, and most of the other so-called Cinderellas from small conferences, nobody won a game. Like most, go look at all the other regionals. That Evansville one is an outlier. It's amazing, but it's an outlier. I think it's only going to get worse.
But Florida State got there and literally is almost a 50-win team with, other than Tibbs and Smith, no big-time recruits. Jamie Arnold was sort of a big-time recruit, but not really.
I don't disagree with you that baseball lends itself to weird outcomes sometimes. I just think it's going to further and further become homogenized to the big two, to the power conferences.
Sure.
I don't think Dallas Baptist is going back to the World Series anytime soon. I don't think you're seeing any of this anymore. It's sad.
And I think that
never mind the fact that a whole league doesn't exist anymore out in the Pac-12 where you used to get a lot of
yeah.
And I think what Florida State did when they got Mike Norvell and they realized, okay, the landscape is changing. We've got to get out of this ACC. We've got to get in the Big Two, and we've got a coach. We've got the guy. Now we've got to put all of our support behind that guy, which honestly, man, we can say whatever we want about Jimbo. That didn't happen here. And I'm not saying he was right. And a lot of things he was wrong, but they also did not go all in with Jimbo at any point, even when they won the national title, because personalities and because
he made it very difficult.
Yes. And also I don't think they saw the big picture of where things were going. Now it's obvious, man. Like Greg Sankey makes it patently obvious everywhere you turn that you have to be in that group. And so now Florida State, to your point, both of you guys think Florida State's got the right guy, and Link is definitely the guy. He may be the best coach in the country. Well, yeah, man, this is when you actually absolutely have to do everything you can to support him. So that's one thing I want to see this offseason is what the commitment they make to him, but also that program, because it's not only football is the thing, man. That's what's going to get them out of this conference. That's what's going to get them to the promised land. But you've got a guy in baseball, and they need to support him.
I think I just want to make one more point about that, and I agree with all that. I'm not telling Florida State fans, no, save your money. Link's got it. I'm saying that what's happened this year, imagine being a really good player at Stetson, leadoff hitter perhaps, and you see what's happened at Florida State this year. You played in that stadium. You were there for a regional, or you're anywhere, Dallas Baptist. And
you love that Stetson leadoff hitter.
I do. Well, he's from Athens, number 3, but you're the number 3 hitter for Dallas Baptist, and you want to go play big-time college football, and you saw that environment in Dick Howser Stadium on TV, and it played on TV. I'm telling you. I know it was hot. It was loud, and the announcers wouldn't stop talking about how loud Howser was, even at 11 a.m. That's enticing, too.
Yeah.
These aren't. It's not. I think college. I think baseball. I know some kids will chase the money. It's also a sport where a lot of kids turn down money and have been for decades just to go play for 3 years at a school. So I think that's still ingrained a little bit in the baseball culture, and I think a lot of it does have to do with facilities, but also history, tradition, the coach, and getting to the major leagues. And I think when Lynx are getting drafted, Link's going to have some guys drafted. That's going to be appealing too.
All these elements play a factor. I think we all agree with each other in this discussion. I do think, though, the landscape is beginning to shift, and unfortunately, it's going to go in the same direction that football did, which is a direction all of us hate, but it is the reality, which is money's going to rule the day, and those who have more of it are going to steal the best coaches. They're going to build the best stadiums. They're going to have the best resources to recruit, and it's going to get more and more difficult to do what Link just did so long as you are behind in the arms race financially.
What about that dog pile in Omaha, though? That's the best recruiting tool, gentlemen. The dog pile.
All right, hey, we got to rapid fire this puppy. Here we go.
Okay.
David writes, I already answered that question. Number 3, Jerry writes, if the receivers play to their full potential and step it up, will we be able to make it to the national championship game? Okay, Jerry.
And that's a big piece of it. That's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. I have no idea, but I know that they certainly have enough talent on the roster to win a couple games in the playoffs and get to the national championship game.
Yes. Could they? Sure. Yeah, they could.
Yeah. I mean, the strength of the team offensively is probably going to be the running game. And then if the receivers step up in a big way and the defense is good, which it should be, I mean, they'll be right in that mix.
Love this question. Keep one, lose one. Tony Tokar's, Micah Posey.
Oof.
Tough.
Keep Tokar's. I love Micah Posey. Isn't he? Is he a local guy?
Yeah,
he is, right?
Tallahassee, yeah.
Because there was another Posey.
Yeah.
Not Buster.
What happened to that other Posey?
Yeah, no, I wasn't talking about Buster.
Micah's
Jack.
Micah's dad's a coach. Also.
North Florida Christian, the whole thing. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go Tokar's because of football, but I still think everybody loves Atkins, everybody loves Tokar's. I still think Norvell's the real secret sauce there, but you'd love to keep him if you can, for sure.
Ira and friends. Oh wow, this is a big Ira fan. Ira and fans, what would your I just hit a double and now I'm dancing on second base dance be?
Oh man, there's some good ones out there.
I kind of like Tibbs's. I like Tibbs's. He hadn't had a double lately because they keep going over the fence. But I think he does like a skeet shoot. He throws it out there and shoots his gun out towards the outfield.
I was a big fan of what's his face who hit the walk off against Florida back in the day.
Quincy Neaporte had the Stone Cold Steve Austin crushing the beer. I think that's where I would go to.
That's number 1 on the list. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Can I reenact my Don Julio squeal on second base with that play?
I don't know. Nobody hear you.
You got to hear that. You know,
it's not an audio medium.
Can you get the PA announcer to just play that? Maybe
I would do the worm. I would do the worm. Probably the last 2 steps to get to second base, and then just start kind of humping the bag.
No,
I don't know, 10 seconds.
Hump the bag. I like it. Like grab both sides of the bag and just start humping away.
Well, my midsection is on the middle of the bag, and I'm just thrusting. And I haven't even called time yet. So
you are giving it to the bag.
The second baseman's just got the tag on me still.
He's just trying to time it.
Yeah, my whole body's going to come up.
That's why you got to have both hands on the bag.
No, that's a good point too. But then what am I humping? The ground?
I think your better play. Listen, your better play is to go return all your armor to the first base coach.
Yes, correct. You're right.
And then do the worm on the way back. To the bag, and then that's when you hump it.
Because they got time.
Yeah,
they got time. It's a dead ball, and trust me, if I'm doing the worm for 90 feet, that's going to take a couple minutes. I mean, we're all, and the pitcher's gonna have to start throwing warm up tosses again to get stretched.
So when people did that, or it was also known as the centipede, when they did it back in the day, you remember those guys that could get really high?
Yeah,
they got to where they worked themselves into a lather and got way up. If you could do that, Corey, we would all stand and applaud as you did it all the way back.
And each time I come down, it's just a face full of dirt.
Oh, and you get higher and higher, and then the crescendo is you humping the bag.
And then I need a pinch runner because I'm exhausted.
But there's no rule against it, right?
Of course there isn't, Ira. There's no rule against humping the bag either. And I would love, if I had the game with go-ahead double in the 9th inning, I'm humping the bag. I might take it up out of the hole and just lay down and have the bag on top of me.
If
a lot of options.
If you hit a walk-off bomb, would you do the worm from third home?
Oh, it'd be the hole. I'd start at
home. All 360 feet.
Scott Van Pelt would already be doing Sports Center. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Enough worms questions. Here we go. If some of us, this is from Matt, are contemplating a trip to Omaha for the first time, what's the one thing about the experience that you love and one thing that may disappoint him? Well, I do love the way the city embraces college baseball and the way that the whole surrounding areas are so into it. There are people who go out there even when their team's not out there and they tailgate and have a blast. I will tell you, Omaha's whatever, but the feel and the love of college baseball is the thing that I think you'll love. Also, go to Homer's Records if you're a music guy. It's one of the great record stores in America.
The zoo's a big attraction. People love the Omaha Zoo.
Yeah. It's got like monkeys and stuff.
I mean, if you've been to the Tampa or Jacksonville or Atlanta Zoo,
it's similar.
Man. It's like the Mutual of Omaha Zoo or whatever. I mean, it's a big deal, I think.
All right, and also the hotels, for something that you don't like, the hotel situation is rough. But I would say even if you're not staying in downtown at one of the nice ones where the teams stay, I would go hang out at night in those hotels just in downtown across from the park, because you get the feel, you get the vibe. It does feel like a party and a festival. I'd go hang out there, and even if you're not going to the game or before and after you go to the game, hang out at that hotel in the lobby and just commiserate with baseball fans.
Well, and also just any of those restaurants in that area, the bars, a lot of times the players will come in and their families will come in. Players will come in for meals. It is cool. I mean, the whole town is there for that. It's a lot of fun, man. You can't go wrong. It's a good time.
R.A. Andrews writes, gentlemen, now that Florida high schools allow for NIL, when the Cameron brothers are endorsing a non-registered sausage company and Jeff starts investing that money in Las Vegas, how will you react?
Yeah, you could do that. They got names. Their last name carries some weight in Tallahassee.
Are they allowed to leave the family and go with one of these other sausage companies? I don't know, man.
I'll talk
Jeff,
to
you got to
Ben. I don't want this to ever become an issue. I'll talk to Ben.
Right.
We need to get out ahead of it.
I got to get out in front of this already. I'm getting concerned. I don't know that Clark will warrant one right yet. He's just an 8th grader going into 9th grade. He is out there practicing with the team right now, but we'll see when these discussions, when the whispers begin. We'll have to get out in front of it. We'll have to go there. Let's see. Does FSU have a better chance at winning the College World Series by scoring a ton of runs or keeping opponents off the board? I mean, that's
probably scoring more runs. I mean, based on how this team is built.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question because of the ballpark, though, Ira.
They do put the ball in play, though.
Yeah, but my point
which is
would
good.
be Armstrong could dominate a lineup, and you could win a game that way, and a lot of balls that might have left the yard.
What'd you say?
Against, I mean, Arnold could.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Armstrong. If Armstrong dominates a lineup, we're winning the World Series. Everybody.
I was rolling with it. I mean,
bring it, Caglione. Bring it, Caglione. Get you some Armstrong.
Yeah, here comes Armstrong to shut down the most overrated player Corey's ever seen. Here we go.
Speaking of, I didn't think that was a great endorsement for the UConn pitcher that Link asked Tibbs what he hit was a changeup. And Tibbs was like, I don't. It was a fastball. So not great.
It was, dude, you cannot throw that fastball there.
There.
Especially not if it's 86.
Yeah. Well, they thought he'd sneak it by him because he'd been throwing a lot off speed.
Trailer Swift writes, well, the dongs were on full display at Hauser. Glad to see the garnet and gold back in Omaha. Do you think Dabo will use Clemson's baseball team getting swept as an example for his football on why or why not to sin?
Yeah. Why not to do the NIL? What does it do with the portal in NIL? You can't even beat Florida.
That's funny.
By the way, we haven't talked about it. Really impressed by the Hauser crowd. That was not an easy Dom regional for them to have. And with 11 a.m. and a noon, and both so hot. It looked so hot. Not a lot of shade in those bleachers. And that crowd, I'm just telling you, that crowd was super loud on TV.
It was so hot, Ira, that the first game, the 24-4 ass kicking, I sat the entirety of said game in the press box. And know, I do not do that. Me and Aslan and Matt had a great time, but man, I sat the whole game in that press box.
We love it. It was so hot, and this is awful. I feel so bad for this lady. I hope she's okay. I think she's okay.
Pass
But
out?
so as we're going down to the press conferences after the final game, a lady had fallen out, and they brought her into the press box because it's air conditioned, and and they're rendering her aid. She was conscious, but she was struggling, and it's like I'm walking by, and I want to be like compassionate, but I was like, I get to this press conference.
Yeah.
So I didn't do the best job of managing that.
You pushed her stretcher out of the way.
Could you get her legs out of my way?
You know what I like about Ira? Work matters. He's got a strong work ethic. He's also a humanitarian. So I didn't think anything of it when I saw him just slap her on the cheeks real quick and tell her she was going to be okay.
You're going to be okay, sweetheart.
Yeah. Hey, sweet cheeks. We've all been hot.
Daddy's got to work. Daddy's
got to work. Things we've got to do. Don't worry about it.
I hope you're fine, lady.
If you pitch Jamie in game 1 and win, would you tag team game 2 with Dorsey and Whitaker, as game 3 is a full 5 days after game 1? Yes, I would.
So you'd pitch. I would. Yeah, maybe. Is it 5 days? So he'd have 4 days rest to pitch in game 3.
So it's really cool if you can win the first 2 games. You're set up to win a national championship, guys.
Look, man, they have not.
Florida need a ton of pitching.
Florida State has not won the first 2 games in Omaha since, I think, Luis Alicea. Like, I think it's been almost 40 years since they won the first 2 games. Or maybe they've done it once in that whole stretch.
Yeah.
It is imperative, if you've got a chance, if Dorsey gives you 6 1/3 good innings and you've got a 6-1 lead, the only pitchers I'm running out there are Oxford or Whitaker. That's it. That's the only pitchers I'm running out there. I'm
completely agreed. Yeah.
I'm going with my best. We'll worry about game 3 in the championship series of that bracket when we get there.
Agreed, Ira?
Yes, sir. I think it's definitely you got to win those first 2 games if you can.
Chris writes, I saw a clip of Norvell being interviewed by McElroy. I was not satisfied. He's not going to say or do anything or let on that he's angry. I think he's missing the opportunity in the approach here, writes Chris. What do you guys think of that?
We had talked about this a couple of weeks ago about how we'd like him to handle it, especially when he sits down with Herb Street. And McElroy would be a good
McElroy would be a great one.
Except, although the thing about McElroy is, I'm not giving him a pass. It was BS what he did. But he didn't set the stage for everything. Like, he at least was talking up Florida State for most of it the whole time. And then I think what happened was he got the word that day and was like,
they were all bought and paid for, sure.
But which is fine. To me, the damage was done by Herb Street and the game day crew because they set the stage for it. So I'm a little less mad at McElroy. I don't know but to the point, it's going to be hard, man. It's hard to do that. It's hard as a human being who has, as time goes on, to sit down with somebody with a platform like ESPN and do what we want him to do. So I don't know that he's going to do it when he gets with.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
It's hard.
So
a couple of things, Corey. Hold on 1 second.
Don't tell me what to do. I want to talk. How about you hold on?
You're going to hold on for 1 second. Is what you're going to do. Here's the thing.
Sir. Hey, that's the dom and the sub of the. I'm the sub regional.
I cannot wait till this show is over.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. That I agree with Ira, and I'm probably about to agree with Corey's going to say too. You can kind of try to thread the needle, walk the thin line, but there's no way to deny that you need to utilize ESPN's broad coverage as a recruiting tool, as a mechanism to promote your program. And you can't do that if you pick huge fights every time you talk to the preeminent voices in college football. And that sucks that they wield that sort of authority and power, but they do. And I think he'll have to walk a fine line. You don't want to be a bitch about it. You don't want to acquiesce and accept that you got absolutely railed, as Jim Rome said in his interview with Norvell. But at the same time, you can't just refuse to do interviews and call the guy an a-hole. It's going to be tough.
But I don't know what the platform was that McElroy was talking to Norvell. I don't know what
sure
it was.
Sirius XM,
I think
right?
it's his show or his podcast.
If it's live and it's not edited, because I think they have a good relationship. And McElroy, and so what I would do if I'm Norvell, and I would say, look, man, I really appreciate you had my back. You've talked me up even when we were going 5-7, even when we were losing Jacksonville State, even in 2020. You've told Florida State fans, because I was there. I was at the QB club when McElroy was
we
praising
wrote stories
Norvell.
about it. Yeah,
and he's been on Norvell's side the whole time. And so you could lead with that, and then say, but I just want to know, man, you were just what happened. Like, make McElroy.
But you already know the answer to the question.
Doesn't matter. I want to hear it from him. Like, what changed? Great. But then at least you've got a fan base that appreciates you asking McElroy what changed, what happened. This is not water under the bridge. It might be for the guy that's making $10 million a year and has another team this year, but it's not for Florida State fans that lived and died with that team, and you don't just move past it. And I think that's an insult to your fan base to not address it somehow. You don't have to be an asshole about it, but Nick Saban didn't care. And I know Alabama's in a different spot than Florida State is with ESPN, but Nick Saban absolutely would have said something to someone about it.
I say what you're going to say, because then I'm going to say something, and then we're all going to sing Kumbaya and say goodbye.
The only thing I was going to say is, and I think to clarify what you're saying, Corey, when you're saying ask him what happened, you're asking Norvell would have asked him, why did you change your tune?
Why did you change your tune on Sunday morning when you had been saying everything else the whole time?
Yeah, I think that's fair. You don't see that a lot. I mean, you just never see that. You never see head coaches do that to the talent. And it's hard, man. Like, we've talked about this through the years. You know, if Jeff gets into a feud with a coach and that coach comes on Jeff's show, that coach is going to lose that battle. I mean, it's very
damn right
difficult.
he is.
Well, and really, but you're on their turf. It's just hard it's hard.
And you can't come across anything other than a whiny.
That's how the rest of the world would see you.
But I don't think if you do it like that, I don't think you come across as whiny. You come across as genuinely interested in what happened.
Where I do think he needs to do what he can, if he can, in these situations, is when the topic comes up from a Herb Street. Like, if Herb Street raises the topic, like something along the lines of, what did you learn from that experience, or something like that, that's where I think he needs to bow up a little bit.
I learned that the integrity of the game can be compromised, and that you can do everything right. It may not matter because of corporate interests.
There you go.
Thanks, Kirk. Next. Yeah. The thing of it is, I do want to warn, and this sounds like it's chiding, and I don't mean it to be. I mean this. I have the best interest in the fan base in mind. ESPN successfully turned Florida State into a very sympathetic figure, perhaps for the first time in a very, very long time. Like, nationally, I think there were a lot of people who looked at Florida State and thought, boy, that is wrong. What they just did to that program is wrong. And we all know the way that Florida State's perceived for a variety of reasons in the era of social media, right? So they accomplished something that is stunning. Florida State is widely, sympathized with about what happened. I think the longer that the fan base bemoans the snub, and it was a snub, and we can call it what it was. We can talk about what the reality of that was, but I do not think that you need to draw that out much longer. If the subject comes up to Ira's point, fine, call it what it is. Call it a screw job, call it whatever it is. Belaboring that from now until 5 years from now is not going to do you any good. In fact, it's going to paint you as a bunch of whiny bitches, and that is not something you want to be thought of.
Don't you think the statute of limitations is once kickoff in Ireland? But until that happens,
listen, I'll always be angry that it happened. I'll always call it for what it is, but I've moved on. It's time. What are you going to do?
But I'm saying you wouldn't, if you're sitting down with Herb Street and last year comes up, like Ira says, you don't want to just say, well, we're moving on.
No. I'll call it for what it was. I would say
it's 2028. If it's 2028, you can just be like in passing, well, yeah, that was a screw job, but here's what, but now, I mean, you address. I wouldn't mind addressing it.
I don't think you can be hostile the entire interview.
Oh, no chance.
If the topic comes up,
that's not what he does. He's not a hostile guy. I don't think so. I don't think that would happen. But
that's fair.
Kirk Herbstreit deserves to be a little uncomfortable if he's interviewing Mike Norvell. That's all.
And he keeps going out of his way to be uncomfortable on Twitter. Sweet Jesus, somebody's got to wrangle that dude in. It's unbelievable. Hey, Ira, Corey, good work, boys. It was fun to get together again. Thanks to all of you guys, and enjoy. We'll talk to you soon. Safe travels, Ira.
Appreciate it.
Peace.